The Ethiopian Airlines has provided an insight into the involvement in its setting up of Nigeria Air, saying the airline almost withdrew, but the government insisted it should continue with the process. Former Nigerian Aviation Minister Hadi Sirika had floated the airline on May 27th, which did not see the light of day, as it was later discovered that a plane belonging to the Ethiopian Airlines was used to conduct a demonstration flight against the dictate of the process for the establishment of a new airline. The Airline Operators of Nigeria sued the federal government, challenging selection of Ethiopian Airlines as preferred bidders to midwife the process. Speaking with some Nigerian journalists in Addis Ababa, the airline group CEO Mesfin Tasew stated that the East African carrier never had any plan to set up an airline in Nigeria, but was invited by the federal government to partner with it to establish a national carrier. He also noted that Nigerians will benefit hugely from the national carrier if established, because the federal government said that Nigeria does not have dependable airlines in the domestic and international market. Now, joining me live on NC Continental Prime tonight to discuss this further is the President of Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association of Nigeria, Alex Nwuba. A warm welcome to you, Mr. Nwuba, and thanks for joining us on NC Continental Prime.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm glad to be on the show this evening.
Now, this is the first time that Ethiopian Airlines leadership will speak up on the controversy of the airline, which happened in the last minutes of the immediate past administration. What do you make of this new revelation and the response?
Well, the revelation didn't come too much of a surprise, because we recognize that throughout the process of the certification of Nigeria Air, Ethiopia never spoke about the transaction, and you would wonder why a major shareholder has no comments, including the Nigerian shareholders. The only person that happened to speak about this airline throughout its entire process was the former Minister of Aviation. And so today, we've gotten a revelation as to what Ethiopia's position was with relative to the airline, why they came into it, and what was used to convince them to come into it.
Now, Mr. Nwuba, the CEO of Ethiopian Airlines disclosed that the federal government approached them because Nigeria does not have dependable airlines in the domestic and international market. This sounds like an indictment of the Nigerian aviation sector. How do you react to the statement by the CEO of Ethiopia Air?
Well, I think that is very unfortunate that the government of Nigeria would describe companies under its supervision in that manner. We also have to recall that the minister, who the Ethiopians claim says did not have dependable airlines, indicated to us at the time that he had approached the Nigerian carriers to become part of Nigeria Air. So if they were not dependable and they were not capable, how could he have invited them? So clearly, we're beginning to see a pattern here that is very, very unfortunate.
Now, Mr. Nwuba, looking at the Nigerian aviation sector, and you said a pattern that is unfortunate, what are some of the challenges that Nigeria Airlines and carriers are facing in making them competitive, and also responding to the needs of the market and Nigerians?
Well, the aviation minister's job is to create a viable Nigerian aviation sector. And so when he goes abroad and says, well, the airlines in Nigeria are not very dependable and not reliable, he's indicting himself and indicting the nation as a whole. And we are selling ourselves wrong to the international community. The minister himself is very much aware of the challenges Nigerian airlines face. Airlines are not able to remit funds to pay for parts that they have to pay for, make lease payments, even though they've earned the money deposited in the banks. Airlines in Nigeria were constantly the inavailability of aviation petrol or aviation gas to operate the airlines. And when they were available at very high cost, they're very high operating cost within the environment. Interest rate is double digit, whereas other carriers like Ethiopian Airlines and major European carriers get a single digit, very low rate of interest. And airlines need money to operate, and they do so with a combination of their own existing capital, complemented by access to debt through banks, etc. And these are very high. So it's unfortunate that the minister, rather than addressing the issues of the airlines domestically to empower them to be competitive in the region, because we face in Africa today what is coming called the African Continental Free Trade Area and the single air transport market. So if the minister's idea was to give up on the domestic market and find another carrier within the continent to come here and take all the wealth of the nation to their country, then he acted very inappropriately as a minister. He's the ultimate person responsible for the success of the industry. And when he throws his hands up and goes and tells a foreign airline, even though on the continent, that the industry is not dependable, they're not reliable, he is indicting himself, not the airline industry.
And finally, Mr. Alex Uba, another reason given for the choice of Ethiopian Airlines was that fares are high and the Nigerian public will be at a disadvantage. What can the government do to change the situation?
Well, the fares are high because the government did not remit the sales of airlines for more than a year to these carriers. And so not only are they not getting their money, they have to sell tickets in anticipation of what the exchange rate would be. And we're talking about the situation where the naira has gone from 500 naira to $1 to over 1,000 naira to $1. These monies are not remitted. They're sold at a particular exchange rate. It's going to be resold or reacquired for dollars at a much higher rate. So in anticipation of this, airlines have raised their fares. Ethiopian Airlines coming in would not have changed that situation. What needs to change is the basis in which we do business, the way government assists the domestic airlines to be successful and competitive, and being aware that Nigeria independently, even within a continent of Africa, will have to prosper its own citizens, and those are the beneficiaries for whom the government works.
Thank you very much for your time and your insights, Alex Uba, President of Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association of Nigeria. It was a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you.
Thank you for having me on the show.